Hi, my name is Shelby, and what I'm about to share happened when I was just 11 years old. It started on an ordinary day after school. I was sitting at the dining table, begrudgingly finishing my homework. I'd always been one to put it off until the last minute, 8 or 9 p.m., but I got it done eventually. That evening, my mom was in the back room, like always. She'd hang out there to smoke or watch TV. But something about her seemed off. Her eyes, usually full of life, looked blank and lifeless, almost like those of a corpse. I didn't think much of it at the time. What does an 11-year-old know, right? So, I brushed it off, said goodnight, and went to bed. Now, here's the thing. I never knew my older sister. She died at birth due to a sickness she and my mom both had. I always felt a pang of loneliness when I thought about her. Being an only child was isolating. My dad worked late nights driving trains, and Mom, well, she had her own struggles. That night, around 10 p.m., I drifted off to sleep, like usual. But I woke up in a place that was anything but usual. I found myself standing on a foggy forest trail. The air was heavy, and I could barely see more than a few feet ahead. Instinctively, I started walking down the path, trying to make sense of where I was. That's when I heard it. A voice, soft yet chilling, called my name, Shelby. I spun around and froze. Standing there, just a few feet behind me, was a tall girl. She must have been 7 feet tall, with pale skin and greasy, stiff brown hair. But her face, it was familiar. Too familiar. She had the same birthmark on her cheek that my mom had described, one my sister was born with. The realization hit me like a truck. This was my sister. I ran to her, tears streaming down my face. "Big sis," I cried. "I miss you so much." She hugged me back, her voice calm yet eerie. "I missed you too, Shelby. I've been watching you, waiting for this moment. Now that you're here, why don't we have a tea party?" Her smile was odd, almost too wide, but I agreed. I had always dreamed of having a moment like this. As we walked deeper into the woods, I noticed something unsettling. Her eyes were bloodshot, her lips cracked and blue, and she smelled faintly of decay. But I ignored it. This was my sister. Eventually, we reached a broken, old table with 2 teacups. The tea looked murky, but she urged me to drink. Hesitant, I took a sip and was stunned. Tasted exactly like the tea my dad makes. When I told her I needed to go, her demeanor changed instantly. She slammed her hands on the table, her teeth sharp, her cat-like eyes black with glowing red pupils. "You took my place," she shrieked. "You were never supposed to be here. You should have died instead of me." I was paralyzed with fear as her body twisted and grew, becoming taller, thinner, her bones protruding through pale skin. She screamed again. "Mom doesn't love you. She loves me. I need to make her that soup so she can die, so I can take your place." In that moment, I realized it was Thursday night. Every Friday, I made soup for my mom. I didn't know why, but I suddenly felt the weight of her words. When she lunged at me, I ran. My lungs burned. I've had asthma my whole life, but I didn't care. Her voice echoed behind me, chanting, "I need her to die. I need her to die." I glanced back. She was crawling on all fours now, her bony frame twisting unnaturally, her black eyes glowing with rage. I ran until I tripped, my legs caught in a rope. She loomed over me, her jagged teeth glinting as she growled in a voice that was no longer human. "I have you now." And then she pounced. I woke up gasping, my heart racing. My clock read 5:15 a.m., the exact time I always got up for school. I tried to convince myself it was just a nightmare. But later that day, when I made soup for my mom, like I always did, the phone rang. It was my dad, and his voice was frantic. "Shelby, where's your mother?" he kept asking. I went to the back room and found her passed out on the floor. Calmly, I told him, "She's here, Papa. She's sleeping." But she wasn't sleeping. When my aunt and uncle arrived, they tried everything to wake her, but she wouldn't budge. The paramedics came, and just as they were about to take her, she sat up, screaming, "I'm not going." Eventually, they let her stay, and I was sent to my aunt and uncle's for the night. When I came home the next day, my mom was fine, perfectly fine, as if nothing had happened. But as I rode the bus to school that morning, I couldn't shake the feeling that my sister was trying to warn me about the danger that lingered in our home. And to this day, I still wonder, was she trying to protect me, or was she just waiting to take my place?